Sterbenz. He told me the name from Germany. He is the Vice-Rector of University of Physical Education, Hungary, and he specialty in economics. He finished his PhD and master degree in economics. Okay. So you know how tall is him?
665, 197.
Yeah. Okay, good calculation. So you can imagine what kind of sport of him?
Gymnastics.
Good guess. He's a basketball player, and he is a ethics coach, Secretary General for National Federation, and also he is a vice president of Hungarian University, Sport University Federations. So I think that is very good for him to help in his university development and make some progress. So I am here also to introduce him, and I hope we can get some idea from him. So please give him a big hand to start his speech. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the invitation. I don't know if anyone attended my last lecture a year ago. I'm afraid not. But this is good news because I can really give some thought in this case. As you heard, I'm economist by profession, but I have to mention my specialization is about decision making. Decision making, I think it's the core part of the strategic thinking. So I try to focus in this lecture on the strategic thinking of our university and the decision making processes in general in the higher education. I divided this lecture for 4 quarters. As a basketball coach, I used to use 4 quarters. In the first part, I give you a short overview on Hungary, which I think you know it's a quite small country in Central Europe. We have 10 million people, but a big sports tradition. In the second part, I give you a short historical overview of the University of Physical Education, which is located in Budapest. The third part will be a little bit more personal. I like to show you my personal approach to strategy, and I like to explain why our university has a slightly different strategy than we heard in Cologne, because the environment and the goals are quite different. And in this part, I give you some general thoughts on strategic thinking, and I try to summarize in the last part with the future of our university. I'm very happy to give this lecture because this is already the 3rd time I'm here in Taipei. The first time I was here more than 20 years as a basketball player, and to be honest, it was my last tournament. After the tournament I gave playing basketball, I became a coach, then I became a Secretary General for the Federation, and I learned a lot from basketball. So in the last part I give you some example what I learned from basketball. And I have another sport, which not weightlifting, not gymnastics, but chess, which is very popular in Europe, in the western part. And I like to compare a little bit to Wei Chi, if I pronounce it well, Wei Chi, which I think provide a very good opportunity to train all strategic thinking. So after Rio, because this global forum is set after days of the Olympics, let me start with the all-time Summer Olympic ranking. I'm not sure it's a surprise for you or not, but Hungary is still in the 10th position, the Olympic ranking all time. We finished 12th in the last week in Rio. We won 8 gold medals, which sounds good, I think, relatively to the Hungarian small population. But I have to admit, we were sometimes in the past much better. You can imagine maybe the top performance in the market share was in 52, when in Helsinki we won 16 gold medals. We can hide behind the results, but I have to admit the tendency is slightly decreasing, which is quite normal because the competition is every year becoming sharper and sharper, and the knowledge is spread over the world in different sports. But the main problem is not the tendency, I think, because Rio keep the 8 gold medals. We won 8 gold medals in London before as well. But the main problems in the Hungarian sports is the differences between the different sports disciplines. We are quite good in some sports, mostly individual sports, but I don't know if you can mention any Hungarian professional athlete from team sports or tennis. No, I'm afraid maybe someone would mention Ferenc Puskás, who was the last very popular athlete in the 50s and the 60s in football, but we have to admit we were very happy to qualify, not the final, but the 24 teams to the European Championship in soccer, in football this year. We have no chance to beat Germany, like it was the biggest tragedy in the Hungarian sport in 1954, when we lost against them in the World Cup final. After we beat them 8-3 in the qualification in the first game, but we lost in the final 3-2. To mention the other team sport, I have to mention our national team sport is a water polo. We won 3 times Olympic gold medals in a row, but we finished just 5th in London, and we repeated in the men's side in Rio. Again, we finished 5th. A new phenomenon occurred in Rio. From the 8 gold medals, 7 were won by female athletes in Hungary. This is quite new. I cannot explain why. We have some theories on the competitiveness on different sports, and maybe we can try, we can solve the problem between the individual sports and the team sports, but we are not able to explain the difference between the male and the female sports. In the last 6 years, in the Hungarian sport, the structure changed a lot. I would say dramatically. We have a government which was elected in 2010, and here you can see 5 steps, but I missed one, 2014, but I'm going to speak about a little bit later. You can see the main milestones in the last 5 or 6 years. 2010, we changed the governing system. We have to say we have a socialist heritage. The state has a big role in sports, and I think this is a good thing. We cannot rely on the market because we are a quite small country, so the state has to intervene to the sports. It is good. After 2010, the Hungarian Olympic Committee got the right for everything. Not the ministry, but the Olympic Committee. I think in a month or maybe in 2 months, they're going to change again and some rights go back to the ministry, because the experience showed that Olympic committees cannot rely on everything. In 2011, the Hungarian creativity introduced a new way of sports financing system. It's quite new, and next slide I'm gonna explain to you the details. 2012 is the most important from our perspective from the university, because the Hungarian government decided to introduce the everyday PE lessons. Every day, no, not in the elementary school and the secondary school. So today, every kid in Hungary have PE courses, 45 minutes at least, every day. This is the environmental challenge for the university, because we teach mostly the teachers for physical education. 2013, after the London Olympics, the government changed the funding of the top 16 Olympic sports, and 2015 they tried to open a new window, and the state, the Hungarian state television, opened a new channel for sports. Here is the sports financing system. You can see in the above diagram how much bigger money today we have in Hungarian sports than we have before. In some sports, you can say we have 10 times bigger funding than was in the 90s. In the Hungarian history, 1989 and 90 was the biggest change when the socialist era finished. But after the first and second decade, the funding of sports decreased. So the government changed the policy, and now we have 10, in some sports 5, in some sports 10 times bigger funding, financial resources than before. And let me explain you the logic of the so-called tax relief system, which is used by 5 team sports. The 5 team sports is the football, water polo, basketball, handball, and ice hockey. It's a team sport, not a ball sport. In these 5 team sports, the companies, instead of paying the revenue taxes directly to the state, they can decide to pay the 70% of the revenue tax directly to the sports club or to the sports federation. This is a relatively new way of taxation, financing sport, which results again 5 or 10 times bigger money available for those sports. This is the good news. The only concern about it, or socialist heritage, occurred again because someone, politicians, has to set the quota. So instead of the real results, sometimes much more important to negotiate with the politicians. And the team sports, the results are not quite easy to measure. I think this our theory is a big difference between the individual sports like swimming and football. In swimming, there is no discussion about the results. We say the swimming is a silent sport. There is no outside complexity, uncertainty. If you train, you swim fast. In football, you can win by luck, by a corrupt referee, with a weak or weaker opponent, and so on. So I'm afraid this is a very, very good way to restore the financing problems, but we have some concern. In the future, the Hungarian government still tries to be active in the international sports world, next year we organize the FINA World Championship instead of 2019. We have to be ready before 2 years. It was planned to 2019, and I think Mexico refused to organize next year. And I think, you know, Budapest is one of the official candidate city of the 2024 Olympics, which is, I think, it's a big surprise because we are quite small. But according to the agenda 2020, the size of the Olympics can be affordable for the smaller communities like Budapest. One of the reasons the government tried to convince the decision makers is only Hungary, is the nation from the top 10 nations from the all-time Summer Olympics, has no chance to organize Olympics. And so we have the biggest traditions, and maybe we are good enough. We can see next year in the FINA World Championship to organize a big sporting event. So those environmental changes offer the good opportunities for the university as well. Let me show you in this second part my university, which was founded in 1925 by Kuno Klebersberg, who was in that time the Minister of Education and Culture. He focused, of course, not on elite sports at the time, but on physical education. But at that time, it was one of the first in Europe. So he called him the genius. He realized the chances, the opportunities in the physical culture. I have to mention we are the only sports university in Hungary. We are quite small, but we have 9 or 10 different universities have faculty of sport. But all university, we should call sports university, but this is the traditional name, and it is why the University of Physical Education, dedicated and devoted just to physical education and sport. In the last 60 or 70 years, our university contributed much to the Hungarian sports results. I think 99% of the coaches were students of the university. About 80% of the athletes attended some courses in the university. And nowadays we are working very closely with the Olympic Committee. We have a network of the 180 national coaches in different sports, and we try to educate them for the most modern knowledge. This is the past. And see, this picture is important because in the next two you will see the changes. But this is, okay, I forgot something. For 14 years, from 2000 till 2014, we were the part of the medical university. Sterbenz University, one of the best in Europe in medical university, which is focused, of course, in medical sciences. This heritage is very, very difficult for us because in that time, the Sterbenz University, the mother university, focused on the natural sciences and the medical stuff. I think, and this is why our strategy focus on balancing different parts of science. We have to make an equilibrium between the medical, so natural sciences, social sciences, and the practical sport side. Those 14 years had not so many results because we were the smallest faculty in the university. So every strategic decision focused on the big university, and the faculty of sport was the last in question. So this is why 2014 was an important date for us. This moment was, at that time I was the managing director until the rector was appointed in December. This picture was taken in the 1st of September in the opening ceremony of the semester. We tried to symbolize the new era with the jump ball situation. We became independent university again. This picture is a tragic day from the last year, when the same buildings I showed you before has been burned 15th of October. Sometimes the tragedy offers new opportunities, and in this case it's true again, because the government had already three opportunities, three alternatives to rebuild all universities. So after the fire, the government in a week or 2 weeks decided the Hungarian University of Physical Education must be remained in the historical site, and the new campus will be finished until 2018. And the campus will be 3 times bigger, with brand new facilities, and we have today about 2,000 students, and the new campus will have about 3,500. So not double, but we're going to increase the number of students by 60–70%. So this is a new challenge for the university. This is the plans. Let me show you our structure, which was established in 2014. We established 4 institutes: the traditional Institute of Pedagogy, who is focusing on teaching the physical education teachers, the Institute of Natural Science, which was the biggest and the strongest in the Semmelweis area, but we established 2 new institutes: the Institute of Sport, which is the most practical part of the university, and we established the Institute of Economics and Social Science, which led by me as economist, and we try to conduct researches on the decision-making process, because I think every organization can be understood by the decision-making processes. So this is the balance we try to keep in the future: the practical side and the theoretical side as well. It's very, very difficult to keep or find an equilibrium between the research, theoretical side, elite sport, and the leisure sport. I would say we were the best in the research in the last 15 years. We try to equalize the situation with the practical side, but the next maybe 10 or 15 years, we have to focus on the leisure and recreational sports. This is just my institution. We have no time to go through all the institution, but the institution consists of 5 departments: the Sports Economics and Decision-Making Research Center, the Traditional Sports Management Department, the Department of Social Science, like Philosophy, Sociology, Department of Psychology, and the new, we don't say it's a department, just a group on sports law. We have a lot of programs. I'm going to show you just a 4 programs, the biggest ones. We have the undivided PE teachers program, which lasts 5 years plus 3 years in the schools. So this is undivided, and the other ones are under the Bologna process. We have both bachelor's and we have master programs. Today we have 4 bachelors, but this is a new structure will be introduced from 2017, 1st of September. We have only 2 bachelors, and I accepted, and maybe I'm a little bit happy as well, because the content will be changed a lot. we can concentrate on coaching, which disappeared from our portfolio in the last 15 years, and we will focus on the sports and recreation. And we will have 4 master courses: sports management. This is a joint program with the best Hungarian University of Economics, the Corvinus University. This is sports management, sports recreation, human kinesiology, and coaching. We have 3 PhD programs, 2 traditionals, which focus on the natural sciences and the social sciences. But from this year, we started a new 3rd program for sports PhD. So from this year, you can have a PhD degree in different sports disciplines if you use the scientific methods correctly. So you can have a PhD in judo if you are the best in the world and you analyze some scientific questions. This is a quite new research center we call Brain Sporting, which established in my department. The Brain Sporting tried to show what we can learn from sports analytics, where we use economical methods to understand sports, but we focus on not just the data management, not just on analytical models, not just on the IT system, but we focus on the decision makers. We try to improve the decision-making processes, and the Brain Sporting expression I like to express, we involve a lot of experts from Hungary, from outside of the sports. They are the best in economics, they are best in psychology. We invited them, we offered them the problems, and we tried to solve with new methods with the outside expert. So I show the decision making because I think the most challenging, the biggest challenge for us to train the decision makers for the future. We have data, we have IT system, but maybe you know the quote of, I think Pablo Picasso said one time, computers are useless because they give us just answers. We need good questions. So we need to train the decision makers, and we have to create good and new questions for the future. So in this part of the presentation, let me give you some general thoughts about strategic thinking, because strategy refers to the future. Why so difficult to set or to create a strategy? Because the future is uncertain. This is a famous example, it's called Turkey paradox. Poor Turkey, which is fed by the farmer every day, has a hypothesis. Every day the hypothesis is confirmed, and he thinks his happiness is improving every day. But from the environment, something happened close to the Thanksgiving. The same farmer is coming one morning, and the life of the turkey finished. So the hypothesis, the false hypothesis, will cause his death. What's the difference between the scientist and the turkey or the amoeba? I have a favorite philosopher, Karl Popper. He was Austrian, if I'm right. And he said there is only one difference between the amoeba and the scientist. Similarities, we set hypotheses every day. Then we test the hypothesis. The only difference, if the amoeba has a faith in the hypothesis, then we will die. We are lucky in the science, the next day we can set a new hypothesis. So we have to think every day about our theories and hypotheses when we try to form a new strategy. Especially in the social sciences, where we refer to complex structures, not easy structures, not mechanistical structures, but complex and organical structures. Our knowledge is all the time is uncertain. And let me mention one famous Hungarian philosopher, Michael Polanyi, whose expression was the tacit knowledge. The tacit knowledge means it's very, very difficult to express with words. And I think it's very important for us in sports science. Why? Because we teach in sports science skills. We have to offer online courses, of course. We have to be, yesterday we had a conversation, athletes friendly. But I'm afraid to improve the tacit knowledge and to introduce new knowledge, we have to find a new way, but sometimes we have to keep the traditional way of teaching. I think the most important part of teaching in the university, in sports university, is the master and the student relation. I cannot give you just a book and read it, how to shoot a basketball, but this personal contact is very, very important. Some words about strategy and tactics. Strategy refers or depends on the advantage. What kind of advantages are important for us? What do you think? The material, the infrastructure can be advantage? I think, of course, can be. But I'm afraid in the long term, we have to focus on different parts of the strategy because the material, time and quality together affect and determine in the global competition or strategy. We put two pictures on the slide to distinguish the chess and the Wei-Chi, because in chess we have a clear, direct goal to give a checkmate to an opponent. In Wei-Chi, I think we can learn from the long-term thinking process, because the Wei-Chi is much more complex. Easier rules, I think, than the chess, but the complexity is higher than the chess. It was a big surprise when this year the first computer beat the best, one of the best Wei-Chi players. But in chess, already Kasparov was beaten by Deep Blue in the 94 or something like that. So the Wei-Chi can teach us how to handle, how to prepare ourselves for the long, long future. I think you realize this is a diagram from Michael Porter's theory in strategic management, but we modified to sports a little bit. The traditional order starts from the material. Material is like infrastructure, but I think all strategy must be based on the human things. Of course, from the material, we have to watch the environment, we have to analyze our position in the market, we have to keep or grab the initiative, but the most important in the sports university's life is the human resources. This is the only part of the strategy which holds the knowledge in the brain. All other things can be copied by other things, but the knowledge is the only thing. It means an advantage for the future. Our vision in just 2 sentences: we want to be competitive in the international level. This is a big leap for us, because in the Semmelweis era, in the 15 years, we competed against the Hungarian sports faculties in different areas. Today, we try to represent our nation like a national team, and we try to be recognized by the international standards and the competition as well. And our main task is to create new knowledge and transfer this knowledge to the coaches and the physical education teachers. I think this vision can be effective if our strategy based on our resources, not just on environmental factors, but on the resources. From chess, I learned some things. In chess, we have to think always. We have to ask ourselves before every move, after every move. The most important question is why. If you want to be a good strategist, and the chess is a good opportunity to be skilled in strategic thinking, you have to be aware of your thinking method. So we have to ask every time, why do we do something? And after the why, we can ask who is going to teach, whom, what should we teach, and how. I put just to the slide some methods we tried to use in the last couple of years in the university. We tried to use the peer-to-peer methods because I believe that knowledge is in the brain of the best coaches. So if I want to remove the knowledge of the coaches, I have to make a network between the best coaches. And the university can offer the platform, an educational system for the coaches, but if they are connected, they can teach each other from their experience. We have to prepare our decision makers, coaches and physical education teachers to be risk literate. What does mean risk illiteracy? I think in the universities, especially in the lower level as well, in secondary school, in the elementary school, we teach certain things. We teach 2 + 2 = 4. But in the real world, those knowledge is, I wouldn't say useless, but it's not helps us in the long future. Maybe you heard about the weather forecaster who said one time in the TV, there's 50% of chance of rain Saturday, 50% of chance of rain Sunday, so 100% of chance of raining for the weekend. This is why we handle today the chances, which is nonsense, of course. So all tasks or challenge to prepare all decision makers to understand the risk and the uncertainties. Some question, and you can see our rector in the pictures. I think the first picture was taken in London, and he was the coach of the Hungarian handball team, and he was chosen to the best 4 handball coach in the world. And the second coach is as a rector. So I think we have to combine the practice and theory, and the rational thinking is not enough to be strategic. We have to combine the Eastern and Western thinking method. This is why I choose chess and Wei Chi. I'm right?
Yes.
Yeah, to show how can we combine the Eastern logic, Eastern thinking methods, and the Western thinking methods. And to finalize the lecture, one example from basketball, what I've learned, and I try to use as a Vice-Rector of university. You know, Phil Jackson was a coach for Chicago and the Lakers for a long time, and he won 11 rings. if I'm right, was able to combine the Eastern philosophical background with the Western logic in the MBA. It was unbelievable because the MBA is the biggest show business, but he was the most effective coach maybe ever. And he said, we have to accept our boundaries and we have to admit our weakness. We have to build good teams. And to build the good teams, the most important two things is the cooperation between the players, between the faculties, between the researchers, and a freedom. So I think we have to hire the best researchers and let them to work. A little bit we can, of course, incentive them with the motivational system or bonus system, but if we select very carefully the best players, best staff to the university, this will lead us to a successful university. Okay, this is the famous triangle offense. Just one thing, it's important, the using all the resources, and we have to train the brain every time, every day, in the university level or in the smaller level in secondary and elementary school as well. And to finalize, I mentioned already my favorite philosopher, Karl Popper, who had the story about the animal and the scientist. And he said, we need falsifiable hypotheses. So I think we have to set every day new theories, then try to ask our colleagues. We have conferences, and we can handle the conferences like a competition in sports. If someone can criticize or theory, we won't die like ameba. We can survive, but of course our hypothesis about our strategy will improve a lot every day. So thanks for paying attention. If you have any question, I'm ready to answer.
我们非常感谢 Tamás 给我们的这个这一期演讲啊。我想刚刚特别我想大家大概大致都了解到他的演讲内容啊。那我的翻译可能不太好，所以我就决定不翻译哈。但是他刚刚特别提到，今年他们在奥运会取得了8面金牌，那让这个总奖牌数在世界的总奖牌数还是维持在世界的 top 10所以这确实是非常不容易那他们学校在这个他们匈牙利这个选手取得国际的成绩，也扮演相当重要的角色。所以我们可以从他的学校的历史然后他们学校的这个结构还有他们在这个对于学校的营运的作为上面确实是有些跟刚刚我们在第一场演讲当中从德国的这个资料当中确实思维上是不太一样那接下来我想各位与会的同仁不晓得有没有什么样的问题来请教Tamás。来，after you.
I appreciate the presentation. My name is Ping-Kun. I'm working for our College of Management. I would like to ask you a question that is according to your presentation. One slide indicates their financial support from your society dramatically increased recently start from the last 3 years. And I would like to know if this kind of financial support can be injected to your university or just for the sport team federation. does it affect the development of your university? Thank you.
The budget of our university increased not as much as the sports federations, but I expect, but I'm not satisfied with the result in the last year. We try to convince the federations to ask the university to make research for them. They already asked the university to educate the coaches. We had very successful programs with the, I mentioned the 180 elite coaches from the Olympic Committee. But only one federation, which is the most successful, has ordered some research from the university. I think all financial funding will be increased if the federation will be aware of the chances of the research.
大概大致上是讲大概虽然这些钱增加这些支持体育的钱增加，但是并不是直接到学校里头。但是在学校，它是跟协会合作希望能够拨一些的这个研究的经费这样。那目前只有一个协会跟他们进行合作。
Maybe one more sentence. I focus on the decision makers. I think the most critical part of the Hungarian sports are the decision makers in the federations. As I mentioned, 16 prioritized team sports get huge money from the government. And if you analyze the results of the last 4 years, especially in Rio, only 3 or 4 federations improved. So the other 10 or 12 federations cannot make anything with the 5 or 10 times bigger money. This is why I try to focus on training the decision makers in the federations.
最终他提到，他其实这个决策者是非常重要所以他在这个16个增加的这个subsidy 这个经费资源吧。这些经费增加的这个16个运动种类当中，只有4个是在里约奥运会是运动成就是增加的，其他的大概是差不多所以他其实回过头来，他还是比较认同重视的是这个决策者的这个重要性，过程的重要性。
If you see this diagram, you can see the generosity of the Hungarian sports financing system. We pay scholarship for the best athletes. We pay scholarship or salary for the best coaches. We pay annuity for the medalists in World Championships or Olympics. We pay, I think, twice or 3 times more people than before. And I'm an economist. We have a theory when we try to understand the distinction between individual and team sports. Sometimes more money destroy the gap between the international standard and the local standard, which is symbolized in the competition in the universities. When we just focusing in the domestic competition in Hungary, this is similar than in some sports when they focus on the domestic level, like football and basketball. We have very popular championships in Hungary, but I think you never heard about the Hungarian basketball, maybe some, and football championship or clubs. In swimming, where we are the best, we won 3 gold medals and some other medals, and kayaking, maybe kayaking is the best example. The gap is very asymmetric between the first and the second. The first class means if you won 10 or 15 world championships in a karate in Hungary, you are known. If you won just 5 world championships, you are nothing. But the big gap has a huge motivational factor. If you reach the second level in Hungary, which is quite good, almost second or third in the world, but you have no chance to go to the Olympics because only one Hungarian, you are still motivated to reach the peak. So I think this system is not fair sometimes, but very, very effective. And with the plus money, this gap disappeared. Sometimes the second level Hungarian athletes are satisfied with their results. So this is why very, very interesting. Well, maybe 3 or 4 countries in the medal list, in Rio and London, had more gold medals than silver and bronze together. And in Hungary, we won 8 gold medals and just 3 and 4 bronze and silver. And in London, the same. So maybe Hungary is the country where we are very satisfied with the first, but we say the second is must, which is not fair, but economists, I have to say, is very effective.
这有点长，我希望能够讲到重点啊。它最主要这么多的这个资源哦，还是可以这个达到一些效果哦。他们认为这个是有效的哦，尤其像这个在这个匈牙利他们的激流滑艇嘛，我不知道这样翻对不对啊？那他们这个最好的这个选手跟第2的选手也可能会因为这样的这个大量的经费的资源，让他们会更有这个意愿往这个从事训练所以他们从里约的奖牌数看到说也许获得金牌的这个国家，他们的银牌铜牌可能也相对的更多，但是在这个匈牙利当中，他们今年拿到8面金牌，可是他们的银牌铜牌却是只有不多3、5面而已所以这个大概是他认为这样的经费的资源是对他们国家的策略是有效的好，好来 ，OK， 首先。
Hello, my name is Chen. I just went to Budapest last June for the International Sports Sociology Conference. I really enjoyed Budapest, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And during my last trip to Budapest, I noticed that it seems that the huge boost of sports revival or the budget increase seems coincide with Orbán Viktor's coming to power. I'm not sure if I'm correct, but it seems that Orbán has a lot of influence on sports development in Hungary. And so I'm not sure if that's a healthy relationship in some sense, because politics could change overnight. So I'm wondering if, from your perspective, from the perspective of University of Physical Education, have you ever tried to get more input from, say, business or civil society? That's my question. Thank you.
Business?
Yeah, business and civil society from the folks, from everyday people, like that. Okay, thank you.
You are right, the Prime Minister is very, very committed to sport. And maybe he looks like a focus on the elite sport. But the reason of introducing the PE, everyday lessons, in the age of 6 and until age of 18, will improve a lot, I think, in the sports participation and will affect the civil society in the future as well. This is why I mentioned in the presentation, in the university, we have to make an equilibrium between the teacher's education, elite sports, and the leisure sports. We have to be ready in the next 5 years to give an opportunity for the kids who went through this new system. They are already in the secondary school. I think in 5 or 8 years they will be the students of the university. So this is one of the reasons we need a bigger campus with much better and brand new facilities.
We still have a couple minutes. So I think the last question. Okay, thank you. 两位呢，有一男一女，然后我们还是 lady first。OK。
Thank you, Dr. Sterbenz. It is really inspiring speech. I have two questions. The first one is talking about you have so athletic performance, but about the changes of the Hungarian sport system. It seems that you also lay much emphasis on public sport. Is there any for aged people about the changes of Hungarian sport system? You say in 2012 introduction of everyday PE lessons, and in 2015 start of the new public sport channel. So I wonder, in your country, about also much emphasis on public sport, and any special for aged people. Okay.
Yeah. This is why I mentioned during the lecture, after the Olympics, I expect some changes in the Hungarian policy, because the big boost of the financing was distributed by the Olympic Committee. And if you want to understand the logic of the Olympic Committee, they have 5 departments, but the smallest one is responsible for the leisure sports, or the older people. The biggest part, of course, the Olympics. They have 5 departments. The first one is the most important, the Olympic sports. The second one is the non-Olympic sports. The third one is the university and school sports. The fourth is the sports of disability people, the Paralympics and everything. And the fifth is just the leisure sports. So I think this is one of the big mistakes we made 5 or 6 years ago, when we give a right to distribute those money who is committed to reach the Olympic gold medals. I was very proud to show you how many gold medals we won in Rio, but this is not the big picture in the Hungarian sport. So if we want to improve, and you are right, we have to improve this participation in sports, we have to start new programs for elderly people. I think we have to find other decision makers, not the Olympic Committee. They are politicians. They say, okay, we are committed to the elderly people and the leisure sports. But in rationality and in reality, they focus because they evaluated by the Rio 8 gold medals. They are not evaluated by the old people's sports participation. This has a much more long-term benefits. So we have to put the right of decision making to another spot in the sports policy. I think it belongs much better if it belongs to the minister.
Okay, I think this is very good conversation between all our colleague and Tamás. I think it's about time, so we prepare one gift for you and also a certificate.
Yeah.